Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, my brothers and sisters. Islam is the second largest religion in Norway after Christianity. In 2019, it was estimated that more than 175,507 Norwegian residents were Muslim, which is about 3.29% of the country's population. Pew Research projects that the number of Muslims in Norway will continue to increase, reaching 1 million by the year 2050. In this video, we will witness the stories of several Norwegian women who have chosen to embrace Islam. Julianne Froyseth, a woman from Norway, has an interesting journey in embracing Islam. Before converting to Islam 5 years ago, Froyseth studied Islam for 9 months. The primary source that was important for her to learn about the religion was the holy book, the Quran. On her personal YouTube account, Julianne Froyseth shares the story of her journey to becoming a Muslim. She admits that it took time to convince herself that Islam is the true faith. Both of her parents are devout followers of their religion. However, unlike other religious adherents, she and her family were forced not to perform worship in a house of worship. Her father is a soldier who had to be on duty for rescue missions. Therefore, she had to reside in a special military dormitory. Julianne Froyseth stated that she could only study religion during Sunday school. As a child, there was a time when Julianne Froyseth learned about the holy book of her former religion. It mentioned that Prophet Isa or Jesus prayed by prostrating or bowing down. Julianne Froyseth revealed that she once wondered why her religion did not teach the same way of worship as Jesus or Prophet Isa, as described in the Holy Book, but at that time, she never had the chance to question anyone about it. This thought stayed with her into adulthood. It was only after meeting the man who is now her husband that she often exchanged ideas. As a result, Froyseth read the Quran extensively, especially the stories of the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, she compared the stories of the prophets in her former religion's holy book with those in the Quran. There are some stories that she found to be nonsensical. Some stories of the prophets in her former religion depicted figures who committed many sins. For example, Prophet David, in her old religion, it was mentioned that before repenting, Prophet David had raped and killed a woman. Similarly, Prophet Noah, because of his rebellious and drowned son, indulged in alcohol. Yet, it is clear in the Holy Scriptures that drinking alcohol is forbidden. In contrast, when reading the Quran, all the prophets described have noble characteristics. Take the example of Prophet David, who throughout his life continuously recited praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As a result, the Psalms that were revealed to him contain many praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For 9 long months, she deepened her understanding of Islam, and she came to believe that Islam is a logical religion. That all the stories in the Quran can be taken as lessons and make sense. This is because the Quran answers many questions about life, even though she did not ask scholars. On September 8, 2018, Froyseth embraced Islam in Sweden, and 1 month later, she began wearing the hijab as one of the obligations of a Muslim woman. 1 year later, Froyseth married a man from Malaysia. Then the test arrived. She was required to live apart from her husband due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Froyseth, who works as a content creator with her husband, was separated for a whole year. The regulations in Norway are quite difficult for foreign nationals to settle temporarily, even though they are married to a citizen of the country. Thus, in her first year of observing Ramadan, she fasted alone. Fasting has its own difficulties because in Norway she had to fast for 18 to 20 hours. The same goes for learning to pray. In her first 2 years as a Muslim, she was not yet brave enough to pray in the mosque. Moreover, the mosque in the city where she lives is quite far from her home, so it would take a lot of time if she wanted to perform the 5 daily prayers at the mosque. Julianne Froyseth acknowledges that the Muslim community in Norway is very small, so to learn and practice Islam, she is on her own. Julianne Froyseth says she feels lonely because it is difficult to find a Muslim community in Norway, especially since the media in her country exaggerates the issue of Islamophobia, whereas in fact, the life of Muslims in that country is not problematic. Jessica Rhodes, a Norwegian woman, chose to convert to Islam during World Hijab Day. Her experience wearing a hijab on World Hijab Day piqued Jessica Rhodes's interest, who lives in England, to learn more about Islam, and soon after, she decided to convert. At the age of 21, Jessica Rhodes participated in World Hijab Day by challenging herself to wear a headscarf for a month. After wearing the headscarf, she began reading the Quran and found the verses to be logical and clear. This Norwegian woman was among several non-Muslims around the world who wore Muslim attire during World Hijab Day on February 1st a few years ago. The event aimed to introduce the hijab to the world, showing that Muslim attire is not a symbol of oppression but rather a means to preserve dignity. Following her experience wearing the headscarf, Jessica Rhodes began reading more about Islam to better understand this upright religion. She also observed Islam as a whole and felt that it is an inclusive religion that could provide her with the answers she was seeking. When deciding to embrace Islam, Jessica Rhodes faced various reactions from those close to her. Her parents disapproved, though they accepted her decision. Some of Jessica Rhodes' friends were happy about her decision to become a Muslim. Others tried to debate her, while some distanced themselves from her, a situation almost all new Muslims or converts to Islam experience. Sheikha Golani, a writer and social media influencer, decided to convert to Islam, leaving behind music to delve deeper into the faith. Sheikha was raised in a small town in Norway where all her friends were Norwegian. She was brought up to fit in with society, which was not religious or traditional at all. Islam was something completely foreign to her and her family during her childhood. Her grandparents were Muslim, but she was never taught about faith or how to pray. However, as a child, Sheikha believed in God. When she was 10 years old, she told her aunt that she talked to God every day. Sheikha's mother went through many trials, including several health-related tests. This had a significant impact on how Sheikha viewed God, and she describes feeling very angry. This condition led her to detach herself from her personal relationship with faith. Her father was a musician and her mother was a singer. Naturally, Sheikha became involved in the music industry and also went to university to study acting. While at university, Sheikha still found herself searching and unsatisfied. She had so much but did not feel the happiness she sought so earnestly. She describes that even as her music career began to take off, she still felt a deep sadness. Sheikha got married before she returned, and this relationship only added to her sadness during that period of her life. The marriage was very unfair and affected her deeply. The culmination of all the different aspects of her life led her to reflect and ultimately attempt suicide. At this point, her mother felt that the only solution was to turn back to God. Sheikha describes feeling very desperate and numb when her mother ordered her to bathe and guided her to pray for the first time. Sheikha remembers not knowing what she was reciting when reading Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Al-Ikhlas, but when she bowed her head to prostrate, all the pain and burdens of her past were released. She describes it as feeling like the connection between her past and her present self was severed, and she was reborn. That feeling drove Sheikha to change her life and fully commit to Islam. She dove into learning about the religion and shared her journey and understanding of faith with her followers on social media. She has written a book of poetry titled Darkness to Light. Sheikha now has a happy marriage. She no longer hides her faith from the world. She embraced Islam and proudly shares it on her social media. With the soul-stirring stories of Julianne Froyseth, Jessica Rhodes, and Sheikha Golani, we realize that the journey towards truth is not always easy. But with perseverance, courage, and faith, they found peace in Islam. At every step, they faced challenges, encountered disagreements, and experienced solitude. Yet, through these trials, they grew stronger and closer to Allah. These stories remind us that the strength of faith is not only in belief, but also in the struggle to seek and understand the truth. And ultimately, when they found Islam, they found true happiness and invaluable peace. Let us all be inspired by their stories and continue to strive for deeper meaning in our lives, with the conviction that amidst challenges, Allah is always with us. Thank you for watching and sharing this spiritual journey. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.